Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Bridget Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko.
What's up? What the Biz Nation? I don't know. I'm just trying something new there. We'll see how that goes. Let us know what you think about that. But welcome back. Fun episode today. We are talking about the optimism of small business in 2026, about how there's a big jump in new business formations this year, and how B2B and B2C experiences are now mirroring one another, and tons of other what the biz in between. So lots going on in today's episode. But first, let's say hello to Bridget. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited because we just launched our course and we got our first few registrants, which always feels good. You know, when you see that positive reinforcement of people jumping in.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Especially when you're like, okay, I know this is valuable, but how I'm saying it, as you as the marketer, is how I'm saying it going to compel the right audience?
The right audience, exactly.
So
yes.
That's great. I'm glad. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking, because we launched it and it's our first one, so we didn't know what to expect. We built up the list. We got up to like 1,200 people on the list, and all primed for the topic, that the course is on. They all are there for it. And then you launch. We didn't see anything right away. And I guess you and I were talking, and it was like, that's actually kind of common. Like, there isn't really much at first, and I'm like, what? Which is actually, to me as a marketer, very weird, because the whole thing is like, we're building demand. And then when we launch, everyone is jumping in. Everyone is coming in to make it happen. And it's I guess it's just different on courses. And so I'm learning something new here, and it's going to be interesting as we are now 5 days from close, at least at time of recording. We're like 5 days from close. And I guess from what you were saying, everything happens in the last 48 for the most part, right? Last 48 hours.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've got all of those, like, we got 3 days left, 2 days left, 1 day left, emails, 12 hours left, 4 hours left, 1 hour to go. We've got all of that already primed. So I'm crossing fingers, my expectations are low. Like, I'm hoping like 5-10 registrants, and I have people hear that and they're like, I thought for courses you want to sell hundreds. Like, look, it's our first one. I don't need to overwhelm myself. 5-10, I'll feel good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it's like considered the beta launch world, right? And so
Right.
You don't want a ton because you can get people through that first one and make the adjustments you need. And then you actually learn more of their language during that testing period than your next messaging. And it's just, I don't know. I think once you get the ball rolling, it just propels itself, right? So, I think you're going to be amazed at I don't want to call it procrastination. It
is. That's exactly what it is.
Kind of is, yes. But like, we see the reminders and we're like, oh, we have time. We'll do it later.
Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Like, we as business owners, we're go-getters. We have the initiative, but when it comes to taking action, we will wait to the last possible moment to do it, because I don't want to part with my money until I have to.
That or like, I'm in the middle of this, I'll go sign up later. And I think we're now conditioned to know people are going to send us those reminders. Like, we know they're coming. When you're like, hey, this is open until, or doors close in 5 days, it's like, oh, good. They're going to keep reminding me and I'll do it on that last day.
Yeah.
And to those of us on the other side who are like, okay, we need to fill the room. Like, are we not resonating? Like, what are we missing? We're in like the panic mode of like, oh my gosh, we're missing the mark in the language they need. And then meanwhile, they flood the gates on the last day. So, it's.
Yeah, I am definitely feeling that a little bit. I know I have my couple of signups, but I'm just like, when are they coming? I am feeling it. I really am feeling it. So I'm trusting the process. And look, if it's small, it's small. Like I said, I'm not shooting for high numbers. I'm going to learn some things here, like you said, the language, and I'll carry that into the next version. It's called iterative innovation. That's what we're going to do. We're going to iterate. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Can't wait for updates.
Yeah. What are you up to right now?
Actually, I'm gonna call this like our odd Q1. Like this is the weirdest Q1 I've ever had, to be honest. Um,
Okay.
and it isn't at all how I planned it on paper. We're making like ginormous changes inside of the business that I'm very happy with. Like I'm really
Cool.
settled with the changes. But it is like so far off from what we planned that I'm kind of like, oh, why do we do planning again? We're flying by the seat of our pants this year, but it's good. I'm excited and more to come on that. So
All right, cool. Well, looking forward to hearing news as it happens. But with that, why don't we jump into some of the news, some cool stuff we're hearing about, and see what's going on. So for our first article today, from Constant Contact, okay, basically they're breaking down a report from the Small Business Now, which surveyed over 1,500 small businesses across the U.S., U.K., Canada, Australia, New Zealand to understand the top concerns and strategies around marketing for 2026. And some of the takeaways are 41% of small business owners say inflation and rising costs are their top concerns this year. But despite those economic challenges, they aren't just hoping for the best. They're actively planning for success, and they're focusing on what they can control, with 50% prioritizing improving efficiency and 36% creating or refining marketing strategy to ensure they succeed in the year ahead. What's really interesting, and I think we both picked up on this one, was 68% of small business owners expect their marketing budgets to increase in 2026, while 74% expect the time that they're going to spend on marketing to increase this year as well. And when asked which channels they expect to provide the most value, they said 68% said social media would be the most valuable, with email marketing following as the second most valuable at 41%. I hear this and I read all this and some things kind of hit me here, and I was just like, in the face of inflation and everything, everyone is optimistic. I mean, I think that's really positive, and I think a little bit different than a lot of the story that's going on right now. Is that, there's a lot of story going on where consumers, and we even shared it a couple weeks ago, where consumers, studies are saying that they're trepidatious, they're a little reserved, they're wanting these small wins and not really spending a whole ton of money out there. So I found this really interesting in the face of all of that.
yeah, the numbers actually shock me, and for your industry, you guys should be really excited. To be honest, like
Yeah, right?
this is great for marketing world. I have two thoughts here. One, I do believe that there was like this shift with businesses who thought that like AI was going to solve a lot of their marketing issues. And I think it's being discovered that maybe that isn't the channel that's going to help solve a lot of things. So on top of like, because the 74% saying that they're going to spend more time, right? That number stuck out to me. Like 74% of those that answered this think they're going to spend more time on marketing. And I think if we would have looked at maybe the thought around that even last year, they thought they were going to spend less time on marketing.
Yeah.
So you take inflation and all of the pieces, and to hear like optimism and we're going all in marketing, like it says to me, back and wait for like things to pass. They are actively going to push themselves through it and still try to grow. And I love that for small businesses, honestly. Like I love seeing this and hearing this. The other part that I wish was flipped, and we've talked about this with like owning your own list.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm sure that made you like kind of cringe inside, but it's
A little
like,
bit.
oh, can we have email marketing as the most valuable, please?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Or email and SMS, some list you
Mhm.
own. Yeah, totally. Now, look, I think the conclusion is the same. I came at it from a different perspective about the AI piece. I think that there are businesses and individuals that are seeing that it is helping them, but it's not the panacea that they thought it was going to be. So where I agree with you is like it's not the solves all pains. It's not the silver bullet. But I think what small business owners specifically, or smaller teams, are finding is that we are more efficient by using it. We can get ideas out faster. We can copyright and then edit and get something unique out. We can keep focus on our brand message because we tell it these are the guardrails to work within. And so that's where I think that 74% expect to spend more time on marketing is that they feel they have this tool that can actually help them do it. So they feel like they're empowered to do it. Because I'll tell you, like, even as a marketer, I hate, and I think hate might be the right word, hate social media. Okay. But I find myself wanting to do more there because of AI. And I don't mean like putting slop out. What I mean to say is like, yeah, I'll still do a video, but can AI help me focus my thoughts into a more cohesive video script? Can it help me brainstorm carousel? I've got all these ideas on this topic. Here are thoughts, etc. Help me focus and organize these so I can put out more cohesive content. So I see it inspiring me and motivating me in that way. And I think that's where that's coming from. So I still agree. I think they're finding out it's not the end all be all, or it's like, it's not going to kill jobs or anything, but it is helping them be more efficient. So that's where I think that time is coming in. I'm very curious to see if it stays high. Like if it's continuously, more and more, or are people going to get burned out with all of it? And, maybe everything sounds the same, so they stop. I don't know. We'll see what happens down that route.
I also, real quick, I picked something out of what you were just saying. You mentioned AI being to help, like helping you stay within your brand guardrails.
Yes.
So I wanted to highlight that because AI can also drive you off track. So if you don't have your brand and your image and the way that you talk like highly defined, like if you're missing that whole brand planning piece, I would say that might be your most important piece to get in place as a small business owner here in 2026. And I know, Dan, you guys have a whole process you follow with helping people through their branding. But like, if you aren't consistent with your brand, it will hurt you to continue to feed AI to like make things faster because you don't have cohesiveness. And that's something that I just picked out of what you were saying of like, that's really important to highlight.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed how a lot of AIs now allow you to upload and put in like documents that are like this is our knowledge base. We're always going to run with these. Specifically, been really loving Notebook LM. I've been creating a lot of notebooks, and what we're starting to do is we're creating one per client actually now. And we're just uploading, here's the knowledge base of this client. Here's their brand. Here's their voice. Here's who they are. Now let me work with AI where I can still be my creative self. I can let AI help with some of that creativity, but it'll guide it all within the rails of what's going on. And so if you haven't checked out, Notebook LM, I definitely recommend checking it out. I know others do it too in that way with the documents, but really, really cool because you then don't have to constantly remind the AI, which is something like if you're just using Gemini Direct, it's like you constantly have to remind it because it just veers off track. But what I found with Notebook LM, because you've got these docs in there, it's like these are the guardrails it runs by. It doesn't. I found it's difficult to get it to generate things from outside those documents. You have to be very, very explicit, which is wonderful when you're trying to stay within the bounds of something. So yeah. Back to all this though, as I think about what's going on here. So, if you're not jumping on to the marketing and the AI and becoming more efficient, basically, your competitors are doubling down is what this report is really talking about. And so if you're feeling like I need to retreat on marketing, you may get left behind and you may suffer here. So finding out how can I use AI to enhance efficiency, stay visible, really important. And, I've said this before is like when times are tough, those who have a war chest, who have a purse to do strategic and, marketing and continue marketing when there is, an economic downturn or some of this, those are the ones that win because nobody else is talking in that time period. And I think this report kind of echoes that as well in a way. And like you said, I mean, my last takeaway here or my last piece is like, yeah, you want to build an asset you own. I don't think social media is that. I still don't. No matter what social media does, it is definitely not that. It's even done a lot more recently to make it harder to be seen and to build. And we'll talk about that in future episodes. I've got some interesting stuff to share down this route. So if you can build your email list, you can build your SMS customer list. It's going to be so important, especially as AI continues to take more and more of search and take over social media, et cetera. Because it's going to get really difficult for us to be in front of people and be found. Which is a bit of what we're going to talk about in the future. It's really interesting. Social media is becoming the new awareness. Like social media is search platform now, which is really weird. We'll talk about it later. This is neat shift with Gen Z and other things where they're using social media to search, not search engines. And it's like, what? It's just AI and social. And I'm just like, what's going on? Really, really interesting trend. We'll talk more about it on a future episode. But so really important to build your lists right now. So yeah, really important.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Moving on. I guess in January, there was a huge jump in new business creation. We saw, oh my God, all the ads everywhere, ads all over the place. So this is coming from thestreet.com. Basically, despite economic headwinds, oh man, I hate all these ads. I wish I could hide them for everybody, guys. This is crazy. But basically, 2025 saw a record 5.2 million new businesses created. And that momentum is carried into a massive 18% spike in January at the beginning of this year. My takeaway is basically entrepreneurship is resilient. Look at us, go-getters. We're keeping at it. We're doing it. But the majority, what we're seeing is a lot of new businesses that are being created are basically AI integrated from day one. So they're different types of businesses, and they're not all tech either, but they have AI in them from the start. So they're much more lean. Also, I don't know if they're going to succeed. I think some of it is like there's a lot that can't happen, in an AI-driven business. But I shared this article with you. What were your takeaways around this news?
I think it's really exciting to hear that there are still people entering small business world, right? Because there is that uncertainty and like just the unknown, right? And there are, like, you look anywhere, the headlines are like, AI's taking all the jobs, right? Why wouldn't we think that's the same for small business? Like, oh, why would I want to go start a small business? But I think people are starting to realize that isn't necessarily the case. And I personally love seeing the increase. I love seeing more people going into their own world. We had a whole episode around, though, like, not to be a Debbie Downer around it, but I think you need to be very careful when starting a small business because it is very easy to go under in your first 5 years. So just that's my word of caution for those into it. But the other part that really struck me out of this article is that they're finding that the states that are normally like the startup states or have the most new businesses aren't the only ones with growth. So like states that normally aren't seeing huge numbers of new businesses saw new businesses forming, which is meaning like it's expanding across the entire country, not just in like the major hubs that it's typically seen.
To that point, I mean, Montana saw a 25% increase in business formations year over year. Wyoming, New Mexico saw similar sharp rises. I mean, when I think about these states, I do not think these are like hubs of startups or big entrepreneurial areas. But yeah, there are tons of states not typically considered big growth states saw gains, like West Virginia 53%, North Carolina, Kentucky 52 and 48 respectively. I mean, these are not typical huge economic startup hubs.
Yeah. And even in this entire article, they referenced another, I'm trying to see if I can find it, another survey in here, but it had the same takeaway, which we're seeing across the board. that the respondents here, that they're very optimistic about their business, was healthier than it did in the previous year. So there is a trend across the board about optimism in the small business environment. And that is exciting. That is really exciting to see.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I'm wondering if it's like flight of people. Are people moving to these states to start businesses, or are people, and I don't think that there's no data in this article, and I didn't see anything on this, but my head is just thinking, like, are people moving away from certain urban areas into different places? Are they moving from states, going somewhere to intentionally start a business, or are these locals starting? And I really wonder what that data would tell on that front. Yeah. Because if people are moving, then I guess what that's saying is people are seeing there's opportunity in these other areas versus where they're coming from. And I think that would be really interesting data. It's kind of, my brain just went there.
Yeah.
Nothing to share, but I think
maybe something to research.
Yeah, that could be real interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Finally, for today, an article from FedEx surrounding B2B expectations. And so basically 75, what the article is stating is 75% of B2B buyers now say that they would switch suppliers for a better experience, expecting the same speed, transparency, and ease of use as consumer retail. I thought this was really, really interesting because, forever on a consumer side, it's always been, how do we remove friction? How do we make things really super simple, like one-click purchase, saving credit card information, like all of these things, personalization in the marketing and the messaging, understanding, who's who. And now we're seeing that a lot, like over 2/3, 3/4, I should say, 3/4 of B2B buyers are now saying we want that same experience on the business side, which is crazy. It's crazy that it's taken this long, I think, is really what kind of hits my head. My brain a little bit, but I think it makes sense. I think we've hit that technological level where it's just like, yeah, okay, I get that I work for a company and you're selling my company, but you're selling to me. I'm a person. You're still talking to a person. Don't treat me like an organization. And so, I totally get where it's coming from. I'm surprised it hasn't been this high in the past, but I think it's cool from a marketing level because you now have to build that whole experience in, to the whole process.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder where we're going to see additional overlaps that maybe weren't overlapped before in the B2B versus B2C experience. Because I think we are seeing that the human piece of everything is becoming so center stage. And there are humans behind businesses, like you just hit on it, right? Like they're like, I'm still a person. So where else are we going to see some of this overlap happening in a shift of how B2B works in compared to B2C? Like, I don't think this is the first place that we'll see changes in that.
Oh, definitely not. I think AI is driving that even faster. And these automation platforms, not just AI, but automation platforms that really help take all this data that we learn about, the people we're talking to and really tie it into, how we build those relationships and communicate. I know I had this idea way back when, this is like 15 years ago. This might be a tangent. I'll see if I can bring this back. Okay. I had this idea like 15 years ago for a startup, a tech startup. It was going to be an application or even like a phone operating system. And what it was going to do, it was going to help you stay in touch with your friends and your family. Okay. Like I just think where this stemmed from was like, I've always wanted to keep more in touch with my brother, okay, and my cousins. And since moving away, I don't talk to them as much as I used to. And I live in a different city, so I don't see them as often. And, inertia is a lot. Like inertia is difficult to get over. And so it's like, as we go through our day to day and we have our patterns, it's hard to shift out of them and to do those things we want to do. So I wanted to create this app that would help me keep in touch. And it was going to use AI. It was going to use automation to help keep in touch and like draft text messages and like see when I'm traveling to be in the same city as people and prompt me to like get in touch with them, etc. To like create adult play dates. As people's birthdays were coming up, it was going to scour their social media to see what they're talking about and then give me curated like gifts that I could send them based on what's going on in their lives right now. Like this was what the whole platform was going to be. And basically it was like never lose a friend again. and it was, because the normal human can only keep track of like 150 people. At least that's what like some research says, 150 people max. So the idea is like, if I had this platform that could help me curate all these relationships, communicate what's going on in my life, listen to others, keep me informed of what's going on, get me in touch with, meet up, etc. I mean, like, I'd have a lot of friends, basically, is what it's really difficult to do. So I've had this idea, and I think like we've hit the point where I think technology is kind of caught up and can do that now. And I think we see that in a lot of CRMs. And so to hear that these business buyers or these business, representatives are now saying, man, treat me like a human. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's really key, in that whole piece. So yeah, if anybody wants to invest in my business idea, you can hit me up, and we'll make it happen. If somebody steals it, let me know. If steals it, I didn't even build anything, nothing to steal. If anybody builds it, let me know. I'll invest, or I'll buy a license to use it, because I'm all in. But yeah, I think it's a really cool trend. It's a really cool trend.
It is, and that thought you just had is like, I guess where I see businesses using AI more, it's like the assistant piece, right? Like you have a personal assistant. Like that would be what the function of that would be. Like keep track of this, keep in touch. Like I want to be able to be updated. And like we're a world that lives on technology, right? So if like you go to this app, should anybody make this, or Dan, if you make this, but like
I'll vibe code it into existence.
Right. But it could work for B2B easily, right? Like how much easier would it be? Because I know, yes, we have CRMs, we have the whatever. It's still an extra step. If I could literally just log into something and it gave me like the list of everything and like, here's your client's favorite this, and here's this, and like, do you want me to order it for you? Like, I think you even mentioned maybe in a conversation you had recently with your brother that there is a function like doing that. Like, let me just handle it on your behalf.
Yes.
Amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
It's all in the personal experience.
It makes me think of like on the consumer side in retail for a long time, you have those loyalty cards like at your grocery store, or you get like the Target Red card, and you use it and it tracks your purchases. So it tracks what's going on in your life, and you're going to use it elsewhere, not just at Target. That's the whole point of it, is you're using it for other purchases and everything. And they get all this data. And I remember this case study in my grad school where Target used to put together these mailers that they would send to homes. And in there they were curated, they were custom printed per person. Like they had this whole system set up, and they'd create these or they'd create cohorts and like send them out. But this family received one, and it was addressed to the daughter of the family, who was like 16. And it had a lot of prenatal stuff in there, like prenatal, vitamins. It had like diapers, it had, cribs and other things. And the dad called Target and like was suing, because it's just like, how, like, what are you promoting to my daughter who's under, underage, about having a kid and everything? What's funny about this is Target got so good at understanding people, they knew the daughter was pregnant before the dad did.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. She was actually pregnant. And so it caused it like, and I'm just like, that sounds like that's crazy. But that's kind of what we expect a little bit, to be honest. Like, I some people like might hear them be like, that's cringy and crazy. It's like, but is it really? Like, if you walked into a store, okay, and you're like, hey, I'm looking for shoes, and they're like, oh, tell us a little bit about yourself. They say, oh, great, you know what we have? We got this, this, and this, because they know a little bit about you too. They didn't make, they had that normal conversation. It was like, you know what? We've got these that are going to be great for these kind of events. Like, we want that concierge feeling, through everything, and that personalized experience. And it doesn't matter if it's B2B or B2C. And so I don't see it as cringe, actually. I see it as it's this concierge experience. I think there are ways to exploit it. And so I don't think we should do that, and I think that's where like Nigerian princes come into play. But I think there are positive experiences that can come from this, because we're curating for specific individuals. And I think now with AI and these automation platforms, that's actually possible. And it's really cool. I'm excited for it.
Well, and I think that honestly, we're not wasting people's time. That's the other thing that I think of, right? So if you are receiving things in front of you that actually apply to you, matter to you, fit your thoughts, fit your likes, fit like ignores your dislikes, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
getting bombarded with like offers and marketing, and like our local grocery store does the same thing. Like your loyalty card, they know what you shop for, and you
Yeah.
get a custom coupon book every month that is always full of the things that you actually buy.
Actually buy.
Where think about like previously in life, like it was like you're scouring just coupons anywhere, and most of them are things you'll never buy, but you're getting a
Right.
hand delivered like coupon book of every single thing that you always buy. Like it is a great way to like not waste people's time, not
Yeah.
waste your marketing dollars, not waste anything, right? Like yeah, it is
Yeah.
for the good in some ways.
Cool. All right. I think it's time to move on to our What the Biz moments of the week.
I'll let you go first today.
You're going to let me go first here? Okay. I had a moment, Aldi. I'm going to go with Aldi. I think some people are diehard Aldi fans. Others are just like, okay, it's another store. Others are like, it's weird. Have you
They have
seen
really
those
good
commercials, actually?
cheese.
Have you seen the recent commercials?
I haven't.
Okay. I think the commercial's hilarious. So it's this guy sitting in a car. The window is totally up, and the wife is outside the car talking to the husband, like, okay, like, you know what we're doing, okay? You know why we're coming here, okay? It is a little weird. It's okay. And then like this guy walks by with his full cart, and she pulls out like a bag of meat sticks and goes, see, they've got grass-fed beef sticks. And he goes, I like beef sticks. It's like, why are the brands weird? Because they cost less, you know. And it's really funny. And at the end, she's like, do you remember your quarter? And he's like holding it up, and she goes, you're gonna get it back afterwards. It's really funny. Like, I don't know if there is really the stereotype of men that think is really that weird and don't want to go there, but I thought it was a cute kind of commercial in that way, poking at the weirdness of Aldi, of like, yeah, you need a quarter to get a cart. Yeah, they don't have any brand names, you know, like, we get it. But I thought it was a great commercial. That's not really my What the Biz moment, just saying, I thought it was a wonderful commercial. My What the Biz moment is with them because I had a return I had to make. And I'm glad that they do returns, but I was reminded that if you don't have your receipt when you return something at Aldi, you get the money back for the item of whatever it's currently selling for. They have no way in their system to go back and see your historical purchase by looking up your credit card or whatever, and then giving you the return for the item, you know, for the amount at which you paid. I thought that was crazy in today's day and age. Like, I've been going to Aldi for over a decade now, probably closer to a decade and a half. Actually, closer to 2 decades. Holy cow. Time is flying. Okay, closer to 2 decades. And I don't think that that's ever crossed my mind. I think I've had so few returns to Aldi, and I think that's kind of the point. They don't, many people don't return stuff to Aldi, but I thought it was crazy. You know, and we were talking, and I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, when you go in, they don't have like computer screens, they don't have like touch stuff. It's still like old clickety clack buttons. You get this little like LCD, you know, display for the price and your pay thing, and that's it. They can't look it up. So I just thought that was crazy. Like, I had the receipt, but it's just like thinking about this customer experience, you know, that we were just talking about, is like, that's an interesting bit of friction and just decision that they've made. Like, no, you have to be responsible, have your receipt, or you're not going to get your full money back. We're only going to give it to you for what it's currently selling for. And I'm sure that's all stated in the terms and conditions, but I just thought it was common nowadays. It's just like, I got a receipt. We're going to look it up. I'm within my 30-day window or whatever it is, and you're going to give it back. So luckily I had the receipt, but it was just strange. Just a strange little, I don't know if it's a fail or a win. It was just strange. I was like, that's weird. Just weird.
I would almost call it a fail in some ways, because like I think about the stores now that like you can get your receipts just texted to you, or it just lives on your like account with them. Like, it's smart enough to know when you swipe your credit card that it's tied to your account with that store, and you can go look at your entire, even if it's in-store purchases, like your entire purchase history with that store. I mean, their outdated system probably is part of how they keep their prices low.
Yeah.
But aren't they kind of missing opportunity for like their customer side of things? Like, I feel like they're missing that customer opportunity. Like the other places have, like, oh, Dan was here this week. He swiped his card. Like, maybe he gets a mailer.
I think that keeps prices down anyway, because they're not paying for those loyalty programs. They're not paying for all
That's
the
true.
tracking, et cetera. Granted, maybe they are in the back end and they're doing something, I don't know what, but like I'm not getting a personalized printout.
No.
It's like Trader Joe's. You're going in, you get the flyer every week from Aldi or whatever to see what's coming up next week, what's
Yep.
available now, and like that's it. There's nothing personalized. I'm not seeing all the ads follow me anywhere, because I visited an Aldi store. I don't see digital ads anywhere.
That's true. That's
and
true.
that is something that other stores are doing, and I'm sure that goes into cost savings, et cetera. It's just known for being lean. They're just known for being lean.
And I'll
Good for
take
them.
it, honestly.
I'll take it. Yeah,
But
I love
would
it.
totally fail on the receipt side because I am the
Yes,
one that
agreed.
puts mine in the trash can as I'm walking out the door. Because
I almost didn't find mine.
Yeah.
We put all of our like current receipts in like a bin before we take care of them. This receipt was somewhere else, and I couldn't find it for a while. And it was just like, let me just look here, and there it was. And I'm like, oh, thank God, But
Yeah.
So
I will clarify real quick for those listening that are hearing the accountant say she throws her receipts away. Okay, not the business receipts, personal receipts, because I get tired of cleaning out hordes of paper out of my purse. So like it just goes in the trash can now if it is not business. Clarification point on the podcast. I had a complete fail, not me personally, but an experience we had this weekend. We went out to eat with my daughter's volleyball team. They were at a volleyball tournament all weekend. We purposely went early so that we didn't like clog up their busy times. Like it was well planned out. And I have a love-hate with the little like tablets that are on the tables now where like your like waiter or waitress can just kind of like disappear into nowhere land. And so the fail on that was if you're going to have those tablets, a lot of restaurants are really good where you can like go through and say, I want to split the bill or like split the cost. Because we ran into a situation that they couldn't figure out how the bills needed to be. And it was like an hour-long process to where I was finally like, the accountant will pay for everything and we'll divide this
and then you'll
outside of the restaurant. It was that bad. So my rant here is that if we're gonna have tablets on the tables so people can pay, just make it where people can separate their bills. Like it's to your point, it's 2026. Like let us click what was ours. We pay whatever's left. You make sure everybody pays it. Like it's fine. It was a very negative experience, just service and that. And I think it just speaks to like people want good service. They want good experience. And if you can't provide that, it reflects heavily. Like you have a whole group now that experience that. It's not good for your brand.
Is it like toast, like one of those kinds of things on the table? Yeah. I think about that and I wonder about like tipping in those situations. It's like if I'm going to I get that I've got somebody running my food to me, or if I need a refill, like I can call someone. So there's some tip that should be there. But if they're not selling me on the food, they're not selling me on what to order and everything, and I'm doing all of that from a tablet, and all they're doing is bringing it to me, I wonder what tip. I'm sure they're not getting paid like a normal waiter, or like a normal part-time person at a full wage, unless you're in a state that has it. So. But I just wonder how much tip is necessary in those situations, I mean, I'm not saying that I want to be stingy. I'm just saying like the reason you tip at a restaurant when you have a wait staff, because they are waiting on you. They are helping you make decisions. They're helping you understand the specials. They're selling the place. They're giving you the ambiance. They're helping you with the whole experience. Here we are again. Experience. That's what you're tipping for. This experience, and how well did they create this wonderful experience? If you're going to a restaurant where I can just tap on a screen to get everything and it just shows up, I mean, I guess that's an experience of some kind, but is that a tipping experience or not? Like that's where, and with tipping being everywhere in the States right now, I just wonder about that. Like, like I'm buying something at Five and Below, and it's just like, would you like to tip? I'm
Yes.
joking. That's not a real
No,
thing.
but there are
but it's
other
something- there are places
places.
like that where I'm just
Yes.
like, what? No, why would I do that?
Yes.
Like that doesn't make any sense. I'm buying
Yes.
shoes. Do you want to tip your person? No, they work on commission. They sold
Yeah.
me the shoes, or you're paying them a wage. I sure freaking hope, like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So some of that. So I just think about like how far do we take people out of the equation that in the end just hurts the whole experience too, and then hurts the staff that's left over as well.
Yep.
You know,
This restaurant specifically, the tablets we weren't ordering from. So I will say that, like,
Okay.
we did have staff. I mean, somewhere we had them.
Yeah.
They were, but like, even at the end, it's like all the kids wanted desserts and they all wanted things. And it was like, it's like we put them out to ask for anything for the whole
Right.
time.
Mm.
And so like it was just like one thing after another where I'm like, man, you guys are really missing an opportunity here to like A, get a giant tip, and B, like wow us so that like we want to come back to your restaurant. But
Yeah.
yep, so it was a miss. Like if you're gonna have those tablets on the table, you better make sure they can make life a lot easier.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's a wrap on another episode. So thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We know your time is valuable. Thanks for spending it here. Before we go, Bridget, I just want to ask, what's coming up next? What are you focusing on? What's the next thing you're looking forward to?
We are going to be diving heavy into our advisory training and outreach. So that is our next thing on the docket, and I'm
Cool.
super excited about it. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah. On our end, like, we just had launched the course. So it's just going to be getting into that course. We're doing a lot of group coaching. So there's a lot of touch points. We're just really going to be focusing on making sure that launch is really strong, and that we also get what we need for the next launch, the improvement and phase 2. But yeah, really excited for it. Cool. Well, once again, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you found some value in today's conversation, maybe you picked up on a new strategy for your business, do us a huge favor. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's really the best way to help other business owners find our show and build their own path to freedom. But if you've got a hurdle, or maybe you're facing a topic you want us to explore, or some difficulty that you want to overcome, maybe something up, head on over to whatthebig.com, drop us a line. It's an article or a video or some report that you came across. We'd love to see that too. You can even leave us a voicemail. We love hearing those ideas, and we just might make it part of a future episode. But until next time, keep building, stay proactive, and we'll see you on the next one.